Okay, so I have a question about the map of spirituality. I actually have even met a few people asking me when they are in the unity consciousness, and it feels so great to be in that unity feeling and state of consciousness. And when I introduce them the map of spirituality, and there's always furthermore to reveal within oneself, it's like, oh, but why can't I simply stay here? What's wrong with this? Because it feels so good to be here.
At first, we need to see what is unity consciousness, where it is on the map of spirituality. Unity consciousness is the consciousness of oneness. It's the consciousness of inner love. So, inner love is 500s and oneness is just a little bit above that, where the person's consciousness expands from the inner love to encompass a wider field of energy, which we could say the energy or the field of the Mother Earth, the field of oneness and connectedness. So, unity consciousness is being together. Being together or being as one. Oneness as one. This is a very beautiful state of consciousness where two people can feel at one or being together in the same flow, with the same flow of energy. So when the energy is flowing in a beautiful way, in a beautiful environment, when everything goes fine, it is a beautiful flow. And your question is why can't they stay always in that flow? Is because the energy changes. And when the energy starts flowing in a different direction or in the opposite direction, then suddenly there is a challenge, there is a difficulty. And that might feel as two, no longer one, but as two. So now there are two different energies. Or we could say the person steps out of that river, of the stream of energy, and sees that it is a flow. And life, we could say, is like a river flowing, but every river flows to the ocean, and every river has a direction. And this is why the next step in the map of consciousness and evolution is called presence. And the presence is no longer unity consciousness, it is a cosmic consciousness. So that means that we step out of the flow into the wider field of a wider ocean. And therefore it is called cosmic. So it encompasses many more streams of energies in which one can be behind them and thus become aware. So being present is no longer flowing with or no longer flowing in, it's flowing with. But as the flow takes another turn, in presence you can always step back and be present with any kind of flow of any kind of energies. So even as the challenge would arise in presence, you can become aware that the energy is now shifting and turning to the other direction, and therefore you maintain your presence to allow the isness of this moment to flow wherever it needs to flow. So in Buddhism, there is a beautiful saying that allow what comes to come, allow what goes to go. It is a complete allowing. So cosmic consciousness is above unity consciousness, and it is a complete allowing of the isness, and that leads then towards to enlightenment, of complete acceptance of any flows of energy, but very lovingly holding in that space of allowance.
Unity consciousness is where majority of spiritual people are kind of living in unity consciousness. And these people, right, the spiritual communities, it feels very much like home to be in that unity consciousness. Many times I have encountered beings that would say, but this is so beautiful. Why should I, what should I even look for more? There's like nothing to look for, because where I am, it's a heavenly place. So what would your words be to that someone to not camp there, and to move on into the self? So what would you kind of have to say about this?
So every person who is in 500s, in the inner love or in oneness, if they look deeper, they will see that something is missing. Although they might feel fulfilled at times, but then there are other times which are very challenging. And it might be related to their family, it might be related to relationships, it might be related to their finances, it might be related to any kind of normal life situation which will bring them challenges. And they will say that, oh, this is heaven, but why there are these challenges? And these challenges are there exactly to inquire deeper acceptance of a deeper life. So you cannot stay in a superficial flow of everything is rosy, beautiful. You have to look what life gives you and to see the whole picture of life. So many times people who are seemingly living in a heaven, their life back there, wherever they came from, with their family, their friends, their relationships, their relatives, there are challenges there. So there is a certain still separation happening, that they want to be in heaven but not on earth. And therefore the next state of consciousness, presence, is accepting a deeper life, heaven on earth. And this heaven on earth then roots more into enlightenment, to realize that there is even no heaven on earth. It is just one consciousness. There are no separations. So enlightenment is complete acceptance of the isness, of the totality, of all streams of life, regardless whether the one moment is rosy or another moment is dark. In enlightenment you see both streams of energies, because even the rosy energy is beautiful, but it's rosy, and the dark is dark, you don't want to go there. But in enlightenment you see clearly all the streams, and they're completely illuminated in your awareness, in the consciousness. And that is the ultimate transcendence of separation, dualities, of any kind of distinctions. This is heaven, this is not heaven, this is nice, this is not nice. In enlightenment, it doesn't matter, it all is. So that is a complete acceptance of the totality of the isness, which is very ignored in these heavenly realms where people still struggle with the earthly life. Although they might ignore it, and that is called ignorance, because they choose one bit but they ignore another bit. And in totality of life you cannot. So at some point there is an inner calling, either through an inner calling to search for something deeper, or life starts bringing difficulties one after another to show that something is not right. So at some point either they will awaken within to realize that there's something more, that there's a deeper path towards presence, non-duality, enlightenment, or if they don't receive that awakening, then life will bring some challenges, and they will question why these challenges are there.
So, like these challenges in the 500s in your map of spirituality, will kind of need to melt away to step into a higher field of consciousness, which is presence. And here now I want to speak about presence. Because presence is an energy field that is beyond this inner love and unity consciousness, and it's much more subtle and refined. And as I also heard you speak of this many times, once you align or even open up to this subtle energy of presence, then from that point onwards, it is a direct path to enlightenment, right?
Yes.
How can you explain to me when one taps into like the presence energy field, and like from there to take like this path of self-inquiry?
Self-inquiry becomes fruitful when person matures in the higher 500s. When person already starts to expire the heavenly, all is good, all is well, and starts to inquire into a deeper truth. So the self-inquiry is already fruitful at that stage of the higher 500s, and there is another really important aspect to be mentioned, that in 500s, in the inner love, the person is one with their higher self, but not with the soul. This is a big one. When a person connects in 600s to their I am presence, it is a completely different subtle body. It is a completely different way of being. And with the I am present, then there comes this golden beam, a direct connection with the soul. In 500s, it's not there yet. There's a tapping, yes? There's a tapping into it. Maybe through meditation, through some practice, you can tap to connect with your soul. But in 600s, and especially 650 onwards, there is a full merge with the soul. So only then the soul fully comes forward. In 500s it doesn't, in unity consciousness it doesn't, in oneness it doesn't. It comes only in the mid-600s, when the person is already in a cosmic state of consciousness, I am presence, and only then the soul fully merges with this form. And this is a major stepping stone to progress forward to enlightenment. So this is why there is an invitation in 500s to look deeper, not to camp too long with the rosy glasses. It's fine, it's beautiful, there's nothing wrong with it. You should enjoy it for a few months or for a few years. If it's 5-10 years, you're already camping on it. So generally a year or two is nice to enjoy it, the 500s, the inner love, And then you should start looking deeper how you can connect with the I am presence and with your soul. Because your soul is a crucial part of who you are. Only then you truly come to your deeper self, individualized self, and then in enlightenment you transcend even your soul with the one self, pure consciousness.
And as one starts to mature in presence, right, and opens to a non-dual way of seeing and being, a question there towards the soul, because there you have like more access to your soul. Is there like a crucial point there where you start like healing or releasing any karmic like cycles of the soul's path?
Yes, 600s is about releasing the karmic ties from the very core of depth. You know, everybody has done before some emotional cleansing, some energy healing, Reiki, chakra balancing, and you know, releasing the emotional strands, the mental strands. But only in 600 you truly reach the bottom of the karma, of the karmic ties. And once you release a certain amount of karmic ties, only then the soul fully comes forward to merge. Only then the soul can shine through the unconsciousness to come forward and merge with this form. And that happens in the mid-600s. And when the soul fully merges, when it comes fully forward, then the soul becomes liberated, released. This form becomes liberated and released from the karmic ties. And therefore, the next state of consciousness is non-duality. It is already a liberation from duality. Liberation from the yin-yang, black and white, up and down, left and right. Liberation from all the dual energies, happiness, sadness, love and hate. Liberation from all dual energies. And therefore you attain a strength from the dual energies to be in non-duality, and the soul is fully supporting that. So non-duality is already, I call it pre-enlightenment. Non-duality is a pre-enlightenment which then leads to the first enlightenment 700s. So the gap is very, very short. It's 670 and 700, so it's pre-enlightenment, and enlightenment is nearly guaranteed if there is a guidance and a direct path towards it.
In fact, I come to another question here about non-duality, and how I also see around like teachings of non-duality and stops there. What can you tell me about like the stopping and like anchoring in non-duality while there is even further higher states of consciousness waiting at your door?
Yes. People stop, and because of lack of clarity. Non-duality is already a major stepping stone in self-realization, and it's very easy to believe that that's it, you are done. You have come out of duality, you're done, there's nothing more. Well, there is. There's a lot more, and a lot more beautiful things to come. So in non-duality, there is a certain negation. A person would negate certain aspects of otherness. So it's a yes, everything is as it is, if there's a non-dual space, but there is a negation of the otherness, negation of the world. The person is already liberated from the karma, and the person feels a cosmic space, non-dual disattachment, but there's a certain ignorance and negation of the world right in front of the person, because the world is splashing right at you and you can't ignore it. You can say, oh, I'm in a non-dual space, but the world is splashing at you. It says I'm still here. You're there, but the world is still here.
Is it like a retreat at some point, like where this is where like people would like retreat a bit from the world?
Yes,
because it's like a
disattachment.
yes. Detachment from the world, because you're in a non-dual place.
And there are many non-dual teachers, and some of them could be quite fierce. Yes, some of them could be quite fierce, very strong in negation the world.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them could be very disattached. Some of them could be very apathic. So in non-duality, these are the signs that the person is camping in non-duality. Mm-hmm. So either being very fierce or very disattached or very apathic, because it's how they approach the world and everything else right in front of them. And this is why the next step is 700s, the first enlightenment, which is the universal consciousness, to realize the allness, that you're not only the non-dual space, but you're also the world in front of you, so you're all. So you remove even another subtle layer of separation to see the allness of existence.
Yeah, it's a very like a fulfilling. It's a very fulfilling state of consciousness.
Yes, in 700s, suddenly there is a whole illumination, and there comes a huge fulfillment of acceptance. And that which was negated is now accepted. That which was apathic to is now recognized. And that which was fearful is now being loved. So there comes a deeper acceptance of the universe, of the allness of this moment. And that it brings a lot of fulfillment, it brings a lot of knowledge, a lot of deeper insight. So I would not camp in non-duality. I would rather be in the at least first state of enlightenment, because it's a lot more beautiful and loving. Yes, it's a lot more beautiful and loving than rather negating in a non-dual way everything. It's a lot more beautiful to embrace all of it.
It's an embracing, and it's like the embracing of the totality of the universal knowledge.
Yes, the universal knowledge, the universal heart. So the heart greatly expands, and this golden light shines through. There's actually a process, energetic process happening, that all your chakras become golden. And your whole nervous system is become infused with the golden light. And the golden energy is the most transmusive energy. Electrically, electromagnetically, the golden energy, it's the most transmusive. It allows the energy to flow best.
And healing,
Healing, yes.
It's like, the way I see it, is like the highest form of healing, apart from full enlightenment, because that has healing powers within itself.
The final completion and fulfillment.
But it has like the most highest universal golden light healing to the soul and chakras and everything. One question that's coming up right now, like since you have the ability to see like energetics, chakras, magnetic field and everything, so when one is in the 700s, the first stage of enlightenment, where of course you start to experience the illumination, first stage of illumination.
Or awakening of awareness.
And you said that the chakras here become golden. Would that become permanently golden? Like, what is your experience in seeing?
They still have their colors, but now they are, we could say, gold plated. Yeah, they're golden, gold plated. They still have their own colors, but they're golden, gold plated. And this is why many temples and sacred places are with a golden color. Because it connects you directly to your soul. It connects you to your soul, it connects you to the golden enlightenment energy, and also prana is golden. Life force energy is golden. So in a universal consciousness you have access to the universal prana, life force energy, which is also golden. So it's a golden dimension in the map of spirituality. It's a golden time, it's a new golden age.
So yeah, to continue a bit with the first stage of enlightenment, and coming to the second stage, yes?
Just to add a little bit more to the first stage, it's the awakening of awareness.
Yes.
Awakening of awareness. Realization that you are the awareness which is perceiving this universe. In your actual sensing, you are the universe, and the awareness, you can be the universe because the awareness has fully awakened.
Yes.
So that's why your body manifestation can be the universe. Awareness is now supporting your body of the universe, your energetics of the universe, the universal self.
Yes. In fact, some months ago, actually, I did ask you a bit about the difference. Okay, now I see it, but maybe you want to speak a bit about the difference between awareness and the self or consciousness, because there is a difference there.
Awareness is directed. Awareness is a field. It's a field of perception. So awareness is the field of perception. So you are aware what is right here, but consciousness is no longer a field of perception. Consciousness is all. It's the whole thing, everything, completely, absolutely. So consciousness is no longer the illuminated field. And awareness also implies unawareness, because if you look forward, you are not aware what is behind. So it is a field of perception. And then you work to remove the false perceptions or the ignorant perceptions. So there's another practice in 700s. The working with awareness is mainly in 700s when you remove the false perceptions. In 600s you remove the deep energies or the ignorance you remove in 600s, but in 700s you start removing perceptions, so that you get more and more clarity of perception and your awareness expands. Of course, there are many exercises even in 500s that you can experience awareness, but it doesn't mean that you will become awareness. Experience and becoming is two different things.
Yeah.
You may have thousands of experiences, but being that is completely different.
Being that is when you completely shift your consciousness, right?
Yes.
When
awareness becomes your real self. So it's no longer experience, it is you.
Yeah. in that transition
Yes.
to
the full
a higher
consciousness.
consciousness. And so something else about awareness. From the first stage of enlightenment all the way to 999, okay? Because 1000 is very different, completely. Would you say that awareness here strengthens, develops, matures? Is that how you would describe awareness?
Yes. The awareness expands, strengthens, matures, develops as you go from 700s to 800s. 800s is the great unknown, the greatest unknown. It is the greatest void, not a void, it is the void. It is the universal dark matter, or the shell of the universe. And that is the great unconsciousness, the causality, the unconsciousness, the unborn universe, the womb of the universe, the unborn. And therefore in 700s you strengthen and develop your light of awareness so that you are ready to come to the unawareness, to come to the unconsciousness, to the causality.
Yeah.
And in 800s, yes.
Yeah, something to share about this was really like, I don't know, like peculiar, is that the word? And because like the awareness strengthens, right, in 700s, as you're saying, and it is like a preparation for that awareness to seep into the unconscious mind. And it's like here, you know.
And it's no longer your mind, it is the mind, the universal mind. So you tap with the strength of awareness, you tap into the universal unconsciousness, or the womb of the universe. Of course you go through your own individual inquiry, but it is no longer a mind in 400s, 500s or 600s, it is the universal mind, the universal quantum field. And with the strength of awareness, then you are able to go to start shining through the unawareness, unconsciousness of 800s. This is why the color is black, and it is the dark matter of the universe, the great unconsciousness. And 800s is not so difficult anymore. It's not the releasing of your personal karma, it's already transcending the universe. And you already have done it many times, to surrender, to release, to let go, to die in a way. And in 800s it's another surrendering.
In the 800s there is another vacuum that happens.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a bit on these vacuums? Because I know in 600s there is a vacuum and like a black hole, and 800s as well.
Yes. In 600s it's a cosmic consciousness, and you do approach a black hole. So with your soul you go into a black hole, and oh my god, oh yes, you have to go through it. It's gonna suck you in, no way to escape it. So you have to really die to it. It's not easy, and this is why it's a real resurrection. In Christian way, we could say it is the resurrection into the Christed self, into the Christ. It's dying on the cross. So you truly die with your soul on that cross, with your higher self, on that cross, and then you're reborn into the eternal soul, into eternal I am presence. In a cosmic sense, it is a black hole. A black hole is not the whole universe. It is a black hole as a field. So you do pass through that void into the black hole, which you're sucked in completely, and you die into it. And then you're reborn in the other end of the black hole, which is a white hole. So you're reborn resurrected. And so that is a field or a black hole, which is only a part. There are many black holes and many stars and planets and galaxies in the universe. So it's not the void, it's not the great dark unknown or the unconsciousness. The 800s, it is the one. It is the total dark matter of the universe. It's no longer a galaxy or black hole, it's the void. There's no more voids after that void.
And something else about what is coming through, like the mysticism that appears through the teachers who reside in 800s.
Yes. In 800s, in 700s, if you meet some teachers, there are quite a few, they would say, I know it all. They do have a right to say so because they do know it all. But do they know the unknown? Not yet. And this is where 800 comes, to know the unknown. So you have to surrender all the knowledge, everything that you know of the whole universe, to come into the void of the universe.
It's quite a big one, eh?
It's a huge one. It's a big sacrifice. Especially those who are more mentally focused or, inquiry focused. Because they have to surrender everything they realized so far to go through it. So it's the last surrender, it's a huge one. And in 800s, the teachers would be very mystical. They would be very mystical and say, well, the universe is a mystery, it's magic, it's beauty, it's love. It's very Osho style of teaching about the universe. So Osho is a very, I would say he's the best example which is known of 800's realization. He has really matured and deepened and wrote many books and created community and sangha, and he fully dedicated his whole life to this great mysticism, as well as with a non-dual way of bringing some fun into it as well. So it has both sides as well. So stepping into 850, which is transcending the great unknown, the great mysticism. There aren't many teachers. Maybe a few. I know there are a few, but little known, and they would have a very loving way of approach, a very graceful way of approach of teaching. They would say, yes, it's the mysticism. They would say, yes, the great void is right there, but now a grace is flowing. Now there is a divine love, divine union. It's called divine love union. So this is where there is a merge of,
like, the highest feminine and the highest masculine, and it's like a beautiful marriage.
yes,
that happens right in front of you.
Yes. And out of that marriage, divine love of the divine masculine feminine, the universe is born. So it is the father and mother of the universe, the father-mother aspect of the universe, through which the universe was born. And this is the final stage of masculine, feminine, father-mother aspects of the universe. Because then it is transcending those two aspects into the supra-causal truth self, 900s. The supra-causal truth body, which transcends the causality, which is a diamond-sharp truth, a diamond-sharp perception and clarity, it's important I mentioned diamond sharp, because 1000 absolute self is removing that diamond, and only the clear, full, pure light is shining, even without the diamond sharp clarity. So that is complete absolute transcendence, merging with the self.
But more about the 900s. It's very rare, you know, Mindo, to hear like more clarity or more understanding of what the third stage of enlightenment truly is.
Because there is just very few fully enlightened teachers who would speak about it, who would actually know it. So only those who are at 1000, they know 900s truly. So they're only countable on your fingers. You can count how many there are enlightened teachers who know that, who can see that. Because 900s is the seed of the universal quantum field, the universal quantum mind.
And as you even used to like speak about this, I remember as well about like, and even in my experience, having that like great awareness of like seeing that root of the thought.
Yes.
It's like seeing the birthing of thought right in front of you. How awesome is that?
And it's not only your thought, it is the thought. It is the universal mind. So Ramana Maharishi called it the great I thought. It's no longer the little I thought, the me I thought. No, it's the thought. The thought which created the universe. The thought which creates reality. So that it's right, rock bottom, the mind, the I thought. And in 900s you have such a clarity, such a precision that you can be like a hunter. You know, as you see the I thought rising, you're hunting it. You're shooting it down with the sharpness of your consciousness, of your awareness.
Yeah, and it's like also clearing from the very bottom what is remaining.
Yes.
What is remaining, and illumination is
it's
like
the
coming
final
through.
polishment, the final clearance, where as the I thought rises, you see it instantly and you clear it and you can let it go right away. You shoot it down. It's a bit of a, like, really, the best example to give is like a hunter. So you see the I thought rising, you see how it you know it all, you know already it all, you know how it functions, you know how it can draw you in, it can suck you in, it can draw you into a lower state of energy or consciousness. So you see the whole picture and you see how it rises, and then you just shoot it. You just let it go. You don't attach, you don't touch it, you don't touch that fire. So it's important not to see it fully, but not to touch it. Because if you touch it, you touch the mind. Or the other example is the snake. This is why there's a symbolism that a guru has a snake here, or like a Shiva, it's wrapped around here, because the I thought is the snake. It is very sharp, it is super wise, you know, the snake is a representation of the mind. So the snake knows it all. If you touch the snake, you will be bitten. So you have to be completely, absolutely aware not to touch the snake, to see the snake but not to touch it.
Yeah, and with this, like in my seeing came a lot of like clearing of this glass, or clearing of this diamond like
glass.
polishing and polishing, and like having the ability to see right through.
Yes.
But 900s, it's seeing right through, and in some ways, like something, you know, says, but I can see very clear.
Yes.
What is the difference from here to full consciousness?
Yeah, you can see very clear through the diamond. You can see very clear because the glass is clean, but there is still the diamond or the glass. So in the Om sign, it is the Bindu which pierces through that glass or that diamond. So through that Bindu you pierce through and you break. That 999 you still polish and clear it, and 1000 it's a big difference from 999 because you pierce through it into the absolute self. And then there is, maybe you want to share a bit, there's like a great release.
Yeah, and if I had to share something about this, can say very beautiful opening to full self-realization is that, yeah, in my experience, as you said, and actually you guided me to see the self, yeah, it felt the piercing you speak of was quite like strongly felt, and the shatter of the glass was like in my vision, like I could see how this glass, this clean glass, was shattered, and as I'm like, let's say, reconnecting with the self, yeah. Of course, this took some time, you know, in meditation, but in a very short period of time and space just simply collapsed. Like, and as you say, like the space collapsed because the space is only the separation from the self, yeah.
So the universe expands and the space expands. The self is not expanding, it's not moving, it's not doing anything. Universe is appearing in the self. And the universe, yes, the universe is expanding, growing, maturing, evolving, but the self is the self. It's untouched, it's not expanding, it's not growing. It is the self which is substratum of all existence, and it is the whole existence. Because all universes appear in the self. So the self always is the pure consciousness. And only the universe is changing. It's evolving, it's growing, it's expanding. The universe is born and then it dies. The self is unborn. Unborn, unmanifested, light, the pure consciousness.
And can you share as well, as you strengthened, and like there's a strengthening, right, in the self. Could you like share a few words on your experience, how in the past few years have maybe matured even deeper? Like, what can you tell me about?
It's matured to feel more and more natural. It's matured to feel more and more natural. More and more that is me, the self. I am this, I'm that. And more acceptance of everything as it is, right as it is. So the natural self, the absolute self, is also called the natural self. It's the final homecoming. It's a final resting place from everything. Final resting place from everything, from all energies. Final resting place from the whole universe. But the whole universe is allowed to flow in harmony. You allow it to flow in harmony. Although other people who are less conscious, they will still, bring challenges, but you are allowing it to flow in harmony. many people will not understand you. And it's not needed because they're not in their natural self. If they have openness to hear and receive, they will understand. Many times people come and after a satsang, it takes them a few weeks or a few months to understand what energy was there, what we were speaking about. So it is a final homecoming. It is a final resting place. It is a final return to your natural self. It feels so natural that any kind of separation, any kind of distinction is not natural. So it feels so natural that any kind of sense of separation, saying, oh, this is me and this is you, that feels not natural. Because the natural self is all, is everything. So for me it's more natural to feel one with completely everything than to say that this body is me. This body does not feel, that I'm only this body. What feels natural is that I'm all of it. Even the trees and the sky and the sun and the sea and the table and the chair and you and this and everything is the self. And that feels natural, and over a period of time this naturalness grows. So it does take, there is a beautiful saying that after every major realization you need, in the old days, in the Zen saying, you need 7 years of maturing. And if you live a relatively slow life, you would need 7 years to mature in that new realization. If you are practicing as a full-time practice, which is enlightenment, is a full-time practice. It's every moment awareness. So that way you can work through it a lot quicker, and maybe between 1 to 3 years you can already return into that real naturalness. So after returning to 1000, you would still need maybe 1 to 3 years, maybe 5. It depends on your lifestyle and on the speed of your nervous system. So it depends how quickly you process the energies to feel more and more at ease in that naturalness. Because the body still had, the past energetics. So to fully rebalance into that natural God self, absolute self, natural self. So after 1000 realization, just need a bit of time, give a bit of time to allow the energetics to completely balance.
As well.
To integrate and to completely balance with that new way of living, with a new consciousness, with a final consciousness.
Okay, so just one last thing maybe to conclude as well. Maybe a little message to anyone who's hearing this about the true liberation, what it brings.
It is the final freedom. It is the final resting point. It is the final homeness. And looking back at 900s or 800s or 700s was beautiful. It's a beautiful state. 600, challenging. 500, it's a rosy heaven. It's beautiful, but it's rosy. It's not really real. There's a certain degree of ignorance, we could say. So there are these beautiful points on the spiritual journey. There are some challenging points on the spiritual journey. But when you look back, you would never want to go and camp on the older state of consciousness. consciousness, on the previous state of consciousness.
Yeah.
You would never want to limit yourself, to reduce your consciousness, to go into the illusion of something, whether it's beautiful or not. Because the clarity, the clear perception, the natural self is beyond all of that. And within some period of time, when you fully integrate energetically into it, you would never ever want to go back to the previous state of consciousness. And that is the absolute freedom, liberation.
Thank you.